Question of the day. What is your favorite theme that everyone rags on that you're not supposed to like because it's overdone that you really enjoy? Which obviously that brings you to the topic that we're talking about today, but let me know in the comments below the theme that maybe it's your guilty pleasure theme that you just really enjoy even though everybody's like, oh, it's that again. Like some people love Cthulhu, some people love trains. I like both of those a lot. But this one is a very specific one that gets ragged on over and over and over, trading in the Mediterranean or something like that. This is a setup all about trading spices on the Spice Road. Now, I'm a sucker for anything on the Spice Road. I just like it. I don't know why, but I just do. I like, the caravans and that look of the desert and seeing. It's just beautiful, right? So today we're talking about Merv. This is the game that if you look at it on the table, you think, oh, Vita Lacerda style. But then when you start playing it, you're like, oh, Stefan Feld style. And it's the best of both of those feels. So we're going to take a look right now at Merv, how it plays, what it is, and should we be talking about the word instant classic already? All right, here's Merv set up right now. You've got a 3-player game going. In order to set this up, you need to do a couple things. You need to randomly put these tiles out here. These are the building site tiles. You need to put the camel market to one of the two sides. You need to fill up the caravansary over here. Player count matters depending on how many camels you put out there. So you put all the cards out. There's a little slot on the side of the board for each card, and then you put camels on for the amount of player count. So the reason the camels are important is because when you go to take a card from the caravansary, you can take all of the cards with a camel on it or the one to the left of the furthest camel. So in order to get the furthest cards out there, you're going to need to add camels to it, or you can wait until someone buys it and they slide down. Over here, these are the contract cards. These can be filled out based on how far your influence is on the track. The influence track right here determines how many contracts you can do, or which type of contracts, so level 1s, level 2s, level 3s, and also how many different types of spices that you can have from the caravansary. These are the wall and gate pieces. These are going to be used to protect your city from the incoming attack of the Mongols, which will happen, by the way, at the end of round 2 and round 3. The game is played over 3 rounds. You're going to take an action each time. We'll talk about what the actions are in just a moment, but let me explain really quick how this is going to work. They are going to attack from the left, from the bottom, from the right, from the top. The way that works is they're going to attack 2 buildings in from each side, which means that this one, 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 these, and these are all vulnerable from 2 sides, whereas this strip in the middle, this one, and this one are only vulnerable from 1 side. Hence the reason why you put a gate on these spaces and walls on these spaces. So let's just say I have this configuration. Well, now I have a building on this site, and those 2 sites. Let's just say I have that. That means that this building is now protected because it's protected from both sides. Now let's say I have a building here. So this one's protected because when they attack this way and when they attack this way, this one's protected from being attacked that way because it only goes 2 in. This one is not protected from this side, which means I would lose a building site if I don't pay the ransom of one of the tan colored cubes there. So that's how that works. Now let's talk while we're zoomed in here, actions really quickly. The way it works is it's kind of a rondelle sort of system in which you're going to take 4 actions per year or per round. And the way that works is the north side, the west side, or the east side, south side, west side. You're going to take your major builder, master builder here, and you're going to pick one of the building site rows. So let's just say I want to do the action here, and we'll talk about what the actions do in a minute. But let's say I want to go to the caravansary. So I might put my character here, and then you can activate any of the places in that row. So in this case, column. So we're going to take that one and activate the caravansary. So now I will gain a blue cube. I have a building there. And then I can go take the caravansary action, which we'll talk about again in just a moment. Now let's just say though, I had already had a cube or a building sitting on that building site. When I activate this one, I also gained the benefit of my other buildings in that site. Let's just say yellow had a building here. Yellow would also get their benefit from me activating that building site row or column. So the engine starts to get built as these buildings get built out, more and more people get more and more resources each turn. So that's how the game is played. You're going to pick a row and a column each time you take an action. Now, if you were to do the one with the camel market in the middle, before or after your turn, you could also take the camel market's free action. If you're going to do the palace track, this is a scoring mechanism. There are 4 different halls down here. If you put a courtier here, courtier on one of these places, In order to do that, you would pay a cube of the right color. There's 4 different color resource cubes, and white ones are wild. You'd pay that cube. So let's just say I want to score per card that I have of the spice cards. Tell me what you want, what you really want. Anyway, of the spice cards, what you do is you would put that person there, and you would actually gain a favor for doing that. The favor track's down here. These 2 tracks will translate into each other, which means if you're full of favor, you'll start getting influence. If you're full of influence, you'll start getting favor. If you're full of both, well, you just did really good. Anyway, at the end of the round, you do a scoring phase. So there's 3 scoring phases. You're going to spend a favor per courtier you want to score. So you might have 4 out here, but you might only have enough favor to do 2 of them. So we'll spend 2, 1, 2 of these. Now you'll get the points based above it 2 each time you hit it, going forward, not going backwards. So we're going to score these 2. We're going to score the 2 spice cards. Now if I had 5 spice cards, that would be 10 points for me. Essentially is how that works. This one scores based on the scrolls. That one's on the spice cards. That one is on the rare goods and the more common goods over there, which we'll talk about in a minute. And this one is based on how far you are on the mosque track moving up. So that's what this one, this is just final scoring each round, and it's pretty simple to do. You're gonna need enough favor in order to do that. So now, let's take a look at the mosque track. It's also pretty straightforward. You'll see these cubes here. Technically, you start below this. In order to move up this track, you have to pay the good associated with it. Now you can move up as far as you want, depending on how many you want to pay of that type. So let's just say I'm right here, and I want to actually go ahead and go 1, 2, 3. I would need to pay a tan cube, a purple cube, and a blue cube. Now you can choose which one to start with, and notice how the path kind of forks. But essentially I'm going to go all the way to here. Now I would get the camel for passing it. The camels are used to move those things like we talked about, as well as turn order manipulation. As well as over here, you're going to need camels if you want to extend your trade route further than you've got trading posts. So now, once you pass these spaces, you also gain the benefits. So this makes one of your buildings produce a blue cube, a white cube instead of what it already produces. Now that's better because whites are wild resources. This one allows you to make a bonus to where you're producing more than one thing per city there. This one just gives you favor, and you'll move up this track. Now as you hit this one, you get a scoring tile, which is 3 points per whichever type of building you have listed on your tile. So this would be 3 on caravansary. So that's what the moss track is. You'll get more bonuses as you get up here. And this one, every time, if you're at the very top, every time you score, you'll get 4 points. So a lot of points available on the mosque track. So that's the palace, that's the mosque. The buildings we already talked about for the walls. You're going to pay the good listed below it of the right type of resource, purple, tan. White, again, is a wild resource. When you build walls, you also gain influence. So if you protect your building, it's 1 influence. If you protect someone else's, it's 2. So me putting this wall here is 3 influence worth of influence. You would move up that track to do the influence. That's how you get more contract availability, and that's how you get more availability for the spices. Let's talk contracts really quick while we're here. In order to fulfill it, you're going to pay the good to put it in front of you and then commit these other things to it. These are scrolls. That's the rare goods. When you do it, when you have it finished there, you're going to immediately gain 5 points. You're going to immediately gain a soldier. A soldier is basically a temporary wall. What you can do is you can put it out here to protect one of your buildings that you don't have a wall on. So that's what the soldier is for. Contracts are a way to get a lot of points. They incrementally go up. So you've got ones that are 5. Then I think below it's 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 8, 5, 3. And they go up pretty high like that. Let's talk the library action. This is basically, you're going to pay a different type of good up to 4, because there's only 4 different types of goods, to get scrolls. Now the way the scrolls work is you use them just for the contracts over there, but as you collect scrolls, you can have scientific breakthroughs or cultural breakthroughs, such as this one allows you, when you take the trading post action, you get it for a discount of 1 cube. This one is when you produce a cube out there on the board to generate resources, you get an additional one. This is, you can take the wall action 1 time for free. And then this one is, you just gain 2 favor. Again, favor, very important to be able to collect. So that's what the library is. Over here is the trading post. It's pretty simple, even though it's got a little bit of nuance to it. Normally, any other action, you can pay as many cubes as you want to do them multiple times. This one's very particular though. You can set up 1 trading post per turn, and you can get 1 of the rare goods per trading post that you own. If you can't reach them, you can use camels to stretch that out. So I want to go here. If I had a trading post, let's just say I had one in Nishapur here, I could then trade to get the ones at Basra. The thing is, the types of resources don't matter. What's listed on those is cool, but it doesn't really matter. It's grapes, oranges, swords, and then pistachios, and then all that. It doesn't matter what they are, because the contract cards don't call for specific ones, and neither does the scoring tile down here. It's just those color ones in general. The thing is, when you have your trading post, you'll gain the camel there, and if, let's say, the next turn I play, I put it here, you can then buy these goods. So for one tan one, you can get a pistachio. For one set of purple and blue, or white, you can get a pearl, but you can only do that one time. So per as many trading posts as you have out there, you can get one of the goods. So it's a little tricky in that sense, because you do need those for contracts, as well as if you choose not to do them for contracts, you can potentially score them down here in the favor area. The caravans we've already talked about, you trade in up to as many as you want of the exact same good to get as many camel cards as you want, as many caravan cards as you want, based on how many you can have. And then those will give you a bonus for every pair you get. So let's just say we get a pair of ginger, we would get a soldier for free, and then at the end of the game, you get a set of points per type of spice cards you have. You play the game 3 rounds. The person with the most points wins the game. It is very straightforward once you start playing, but obviously a lot of nuance there. So that is Merv. That is how it plays. Very intuitive. Like, it actually makes sense. Each action you do really builds off of itself, and there's not like what am I going to do? It makes sense. You walk around the board, you go, well, I really need these resources to generate, so you pick this spot, even though it might not have the exact action you needed that turn. And you talk about brain burning, trying to figure out how to get 12 actions to be enough. I remember that one of the times we played, that the idea is that I had like 15 points until 2 turns from the end of the game, and then I ended up, I think 98 points is my total. So like, what I mean by that, I'm not trying to say, well, look at the score, it's good or bad, I don't care. That's not why I play games. My point was that it immediately in one turn shifted a humongous amount of points. So interesting. Anyway, so let's talk about how the game looks first and foremost. It looks complicated to look down at the board if you don't know what's going on. If you walk past this on the table, you go, oof, that's a lot to it. But when you start playing it, you see that each action district is separated, and it makes sense, and then it flows. I like the fact that the caravanserai is off the board, right? I like that it's not cluttering up everything on the board with that. I like the fact that the mosque track is over there on the side, and again, all these things look much more complex than they are. Even the center building section looks like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? Like, it reminded me of the when you look down at Lisboa, you think, oh, okay, that's what we're gonna go take 4 hours to wonder how to play this game. But this one is not like that. You have the action tiles, you select them. So art, it's very pretty. Tool does a great job on the art of this game. It looks very, very pretty. I enjoy it. I just like to look at the art of this game. Even the way it's laid out to me works. But also art direction, it flows. It makes more sense that where the actions are and how to see them really works. The iconography works too. There's nothing that I looked at and I was like, I'm not really sure what that means. It all makes perfect sense on what an icon means versus what it does. Some games, they have icons that show a picture, and then in the rules it says, oh, also don't forget to take a minus on the... I don't like that. I like if I look at something, I can tell instantly what it is. The back of the rule book has a great iconography thing too. So, art direction, big thumbs up for me. Play style. How does this game play? I really love how this plays. The reason I said instant classic in the intro is that I really feel like this has the potential to become an instant classic. It has the throwback feel of games that really, during the big renaissance, the golden age boom of this hobby again, circa 2012 on to where we are, it really feels like a lot of the games released in that time period. And it captures that without feeling like a pastiche or a parody. It really feels like, hey, this could have been released, alongside of Five Tribes. This could have been released alongside of Ticket to Ride or something like that. It has that feel to it where it feels like it's been there this whole time. You've always been here. It feels like that. It feels like that, but at the same time, it adds so much new. Like, I love the rondelle idea and how choosing the actions, you're not just picking an action, you're picking a whole row. I think that's really smart. So the action selection is great. What the actions do is great. It is point salad in the fact that you can play different ways to get different points, especially with the 4 different halls to go to at the bottom. But you never feel during the game you feel like, well, there's no way I'm going to be able to do enough. I just can't do enough. And then at the end of the game you go, I got a lot of points for what I did do. Specifically playing to the strengths of your play style during the game. If you realize that you're jumping up the moss track, obviously you're going to want to put some courtiers in the place down there for the moss track and just You know, if you have 3 of them down there, it's 30 points each time you score it if you can manage to get up that high and put that many on there. Obviously, it's a lot of points that way. Or if you have spices collected, you have 3 courtiers down there, or 2 courtiers even. It's a lot of points for that. So it allows you to play a certain play style. You don't have to think strategically so much as you have to think tactically, which is nice. And you can think strategically, because really and truly the only thing that's going to block you is someone taking the exact row that you wanted. But there are ways around that, in the sense that the player turn mitigation, there's all sorts of things that get you what you need to do. So all in all, Merv to me is definitely, it's one that would have broken in my top 100. I'm going to give it an 8.5. Really, really, really love this game. It's going to stay in the collection for a long time, and it's already set up ready to go again on the table to play some more, just because we really enjoyed it that much. So that is Merv. I'm Bryan Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, etc. at Dice Tower Bryan. Until next time, we'll see you.